What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is just, we're just jumping straight into it, okay? So today's video is a direct continuation of what we did yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, we basically just test fit this bumper onto the back of the Mustang. It doesn't really fit, of course, because it's made by Duraflex, and they just suck sometimes, although it's a cool bumper, but just not designed that well. So we're gonna be doing the same thing we did with the front bumper earlier this year, and we're just gonna be doing some molding, sanding, adjusting, modifying. It's gonna be great, but we gotta jump right into things today because we got a lot to do. Okay, so the first step of this process is gonna be to try to get these corners to fit. Earlier today, my dad was down here and he was taking a look at this, and he was telling me that it looks like there's a slight angle, like you can see it kind of angles up that way, like towards the top left of the screen. So I think I'm gonna try to shave the back of this and try to make it more flat like the car, and that way I might be able to squeeze it around the edge of this taillight. And same story over here. I actually think it might be slightly worse on this side. It's not very straight, so I'm gonna be sanding a little bit of this to try to get it around the taillights and then up and over this bracket, because if I can squeeze the fiberglass into the stock existing mounting points on the backside, the fitment on this is gonna look a whole lot better than it would if I just had to cut that out and just kind of hope that it stayed up. So that's gonna be the game plan for starters. I'm gonna take like a file and some sandpaper and start working out these little edges right here, because it looks like there's just a little too much fiberglass buildup on the backside, like towards the car. So I'm gonna start sanding these down and see if I can make it fit just a little bit better. Of course, we still have to work with the fitment issues on the middle, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Alright, so just a small update for you guys. On the passenger side, I actually was able to squeeze this in. It's not fully set in all the way. You can see there's a little bit of a lip still, but this part right here in the middle, it actually just barely fit. And I actually think I might need to add a little bit on this outside, because if you look, this is just kind of sticking out a little bit past this. It's not a huge deal, but since I'm going all in with this, I figured I might as well make it just perfectly flush. All in all, passenger side not too difficult, only had to sand a little bit, and I actually managed to squeeze it in. This freaking monstrosity though, the driver's side is gonna take forever. So if you look, the bumper itself is like way wider than the quarter panel end right here. So all of this edge, I just need to sand this down. Of course, this isn't like solid. There's a hollow section right here. So if I sand all the way through it, I'm gonna have to like create a mold on the inside and just recreate this whole edge just to get this to fit around the taillight. So this side sucks. This is just kind of like unacceptable in my opinion. That being said, the side is like perfectly flush with the body how it is right now. So I know that I only need to edit this inside section right here, because like this is just that's just money. Like, that's super lined up. This corner is gonna need some work. It's just kind of like rounded off, so I am gonna have to add a little bit of fiberglass and do some edge work, but you know, I'm just gonna have to do that across this entire bumper. So that's not really the end of the world, but this inside lip, oh my god, that's horrid. Look at that. You can see the clip. Oh, autofocus for me. Yes, you can see the clip right here. Look how much further over this is. I've already been sanding away at it for a little bit too. It was worse before. It's gonna take a lot, so we're gonna be sanding for a hot sec. I might not show all of it, but I'm pretty much just gonna sit here until I sand this down enough to fit it into this little bracket the way that I wedged the other side in. One thing I highly recommend doing is if you've been kind of up close with whatever you're working on, especially with sanding and fiberglass, it's definitely worth it to just kind of take a step back for a minute and just have a look at it. Oh, it's gonna look so good. Holy crap. Okay, so taking a step back helps because so from back here I can see that body line on the passenger side, as I said, just needs to come in a little bit more, but the driver's side, it needs a lot more work. I was able to sand it to a point where I could just barely squeeze it over the top of the bracket. So I am making progress at least, and I haven't broken through that wall like I said. So it's still in one piece, thankfully. But it's just gonna take so much time. I've been at this for a while now, and it's not looking great. Yeah, I mean it's okay. Now it's up in the position that it needs to be, but it needs to be back. It needs to be inset so that way everything lines up better. Another thing that worries me is now that I've got it at the height that it needs to be at, like this body line is almost perfect if you look at it dead on, like that's money. That looks good. As you can see, this gap between the trunk and the bumper itself looks disgraceful. Like this was that bulge I was talking about in the last video. That luckily it's at pretty much the perfect height. So I might be able to use that and just add some filler along this bottom line underneath the taillight and just kind of create like a bridge or something. I'm not even entirely sure. This is gonna be kind of rough. It looks good if you look at it from up here. But yeah, there's a lot of fiberglass filling and Bondo work in my future because this just, it looks interesting. Definitely not the best. I can't be having that gap right there. That's a no bueno. So I'm gonna continue sanding, working on getting these to fit, and then once I've got these set all the way in, I'll start working on the sides, because like this side, I mean that's pretty dang close. It's got to go in a little bit more, but of course once I get that side in, that'll help kind of bring the whole bumper in a little bit, but this is getting pretty close. And so after that, we'll start working on the sides and figuring out how I can get these giant clumps of fiberglass to fit into the side brackets, because as of right now, this does not fit whatsoever. Oh God. Yeah, no, not cute. This needs tons of work. I don't know how the heck I'm gonna get this to fit in. It doesn't even bend. It's gonna crack. Oh gosh. All right. Yeah, we got some work ahead of us.
Later.
All right. So I have been at this for hours now. I have fiberglass all in my hair and everywhere. I can't seem to get this edge to fit, and so I've been just meticulously sanding little bits and trying to get it on there. I've gotten it a little bit closer, but then I realized oh, wait a second, I could just pull the bracket off to make sure that it's fitting space-wise, and then figure out how to get the bracket to work with the bumper. So I'm not sure why it took me 5 hours to figure that out, but we're gonna go ahead and pull this bracket off of here. You can see right here, I think it's just this one bolt that holds it on. And then we'll pull that bracket out, and then we'll hold this up and just get a mock-up idea of where it's gonna go. And then I'll try to see if I can figure out a way to get this bracket to fit inside of this, because I think it's just kind of not really cooperating with it. The other side I noticed had a little bit less material on the inside of this little bracket area, so I'm gonna do some work on that. We'll see how we can get this bracket to work, and then hopefully by tonight I can have the whole back of this completed and in place. Okay, so now I should be able to hold this up and see if I can figure out why it's not fitting. Right away, it looks like I still have just a little bit too much material on the side, so that's definitely not helping, but I'm gonna need both hands. So I'm gonna sit you guys down and then I'll figure this out. I'm really hoping that I can just pull this over and kind of wiggle it into place. Well, I mean, that kind of worked. But still seems like it's all just being pulled that way, which, I mean, the warp in the bumper isn't really helping, because as I pull on this, the warp is moving a little bit. If it wasn't warped, this would probably fit perfectly, but you know, that's just Duraflex for you. However, it does appear that that bracket is probably what's causing me so many issues. So I'm gonna spend a little time thinking about this, figure out the best plan of attack, and then I'm gonna get back with you guys. Okay, so I've got the bumper back on the ground, and since I took that bracket off, I've got it here in my hand, and I was just testing out to see like how this fits down in here. So as the bumper is sliding on, this is going this way, right? So I was sliding this down, and sure enough, the first thing to hit it is this little corner in here. Now it might be hard to tell on camera, but that doesn't go in very deep. Like this is pretty shallow, and then it's deeper around here. So the other parts of the bracket, like if I push them down, they can kind of like wiggle their way down, but it's not gonna stay straight unless I clear this out. Luckily, I have a Dremel. Well, it got a little better, but not really that close. One thing I will say though, after I was able to get this partially mounted onto the bracket, I noticed that this middle fitment got a little bit better. It's still kind of low on the left and the right, but this middle bulge section is actually probably going to end up being my frame of reference because it's almost exactly where I need it to be, and with just like a little bit of work, I can probably get this middle section right underneath the trunk lid. I saw some comment where somebody said to like put the bracket from the old bumper that runs along here on this bumper so that way it'll help even it out. The only problem is that this is just like raw fiberglass and it doesn't bend like a polyurethane bumper. Like the bumpers that have polyurethane in them flex a bunch. This is not really like that. Like it bends a little bit, but over time, if there's stress like that, it'll just crack. I just know this from experience, and so I'm just gonna fill this in a little bit with some fiberglass Bondo. I'll probably sand this one down just a tad and get it kind of up in place where it needs to be. Yeah, probably about like that. But then it's really not that hard to just add a little bit of body filler to make the bumper look the way you want it to without it having stresses on the inside, because it's just super frustrating when you spend a lot of time working on something and then it just cracks after like 2 or 3 months. That's part of what happened with the front bumper, and I'm gonna need to address that eventually. So I'm gonna keep going for a little bit tonight, but if I don't get that much progress done, I'll just pick the vlog up in the morning.
Tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, so I was up super late last night just like editing the first part of this video, and I just realized how much footage I actually recorded. And so this video is already almost 15 minutes long now, which is just insane because like usually I struggle to get like a 12-minute video out, and this is like I've just been working on this bumper for 1 day and it's already taking forever. So there's gonna be a lot of videos coming with this. I might actually put it on the back burner for a little bit to put the racing seats in the Mustang because I really wanna get those seats in. The stock seats are just kind of driving me nuts. And of course, while I have it bricked, it's a good time to just throw them in. So there might be a video in between. That doesn't mean that I'm like giving up on this project, but all of this fiberglass work and molding is gonna take a lot of time, and I might actually put a little bit of work in off camera, but if I do that, I'll be sure that it's something that's not really that important, and it's something I could just like show you guys the before and after and just explain what happened, just so that if you guys are doing this at home and you're following along, you could still like understand everything that I did without feeling as though you missed out on something or feeling as though I skipped a step. So I'll figure out the best way to go about this in the next few videos, but I hope you guys are looking forward to more content, and I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing this bumper like fully on the car because I'm actually getting pretty close. So in the next video, we're gonna have it like probably fully mounted on. I can't make any promises because things can just happen and just go completely the opposite of how you thought they would, but I'm gonna do my best to have this on the car fully in the next video, and then we'll start working on like patching it up and getting the body lines to work properly. And of course, if you like today's video, it really helps out the channel if you guys give this video a big thumbs up, helps the video spread and helps reach out to more Mustang people that might not know about this bumper and maybe want to put it on their car. So if you guys want to see more of this content, make sure you leave a like on this video, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe because there's a lot more stuff coming in the coming months before I go back to college. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out and dream big.